The space was wide, dark, and full of quiet lights. Ships from many worlds moved slowly between the stars. The biggest of all ships was called Radiant Dawn. It was the home of a queen named Alara. She was known on every world under the banner of the human empire. People said she was wise, kind, and at times strange. Some called her a gift to humankind. Others whispered that she was not like other people at all. Yet to those who looked upon her, she seemed calm, beautiful, and made of grace and strength. Alara sat on her long silver throne, staring out at the stars. The lights of a faraway sun touched her face, and her red eyes gleamed like wine in a crystal cup. She had ruled for more years than she wished to count. The world had changed again and again, yet she had remained. She had seen many kings rise, many wars burn across the stars, and still she held to peace with silent power. Far away on another ship called Liberty Reach was Commander Adam Carter. He was a man of courage, fair eyes, and a steady heart. Adam was loyal to the Empire from his youth. He had fought in many battles and saved many lives. His life was not made of comfort, but of duty. He liked the quiet of space, the hum of engines beneath his feet, and the thought that somewhere beyond the stars was always more to learn and guard. Adam had heard the stories about the Queen, how her beauty had not changed in his grandfather's time, how her eyes glowed like fire under the moon, and how she could calm whole nations with a word. To him, these were only tales told by old soldiers. He did not believe in magic or curses. He believed in people, in courage, and in choice. One day, an order reached his ship. It came from the High Command of the Solar Dominion. The message was clear. His ship was to serve as part of the royal escort near the outer border, where quiet trouble had begun to rise. Adam's team prepared at once. The crew was full of energy because it meant they would see the famous Queen's fleet with their own eyes. When the two fleets met, the sight was breathtaking. The Queen's ships glowed like silver ribbons in the darkness. They flew in perfect lines, moving together like a living creature. The name of the Queen was spoken with respect across every channel. When the radiant dawn appeared, even the most tired soldiers stood straighter. Adam was chosen to report to the lead vessel. It was said that the Queen would speak to the commanders before they entered the danger zone. As his shuttle flew close to her flagship, Adam looked out at it in wonder. It was shaped smooth and wide, shining with pale light. It seemed more a palace than a warship. He stepped into the hall of the radiant dawn, and the air felt cooler, sweeter, different. Guards in white armor stood silent as stone along the walls. The floor reflected every step like water. He was led by an officer to a broad room where the Queen waited. She stood beside a tall window, looking out at the stars. Alara turned when she sensed him behind her. Her voice was soft, and the tone carried like a song. "Commander Carter," she said, "you have come far. The border is restless. Trust your men are ready." Adam bowed slightly, trying not to stare too long into her red eyes. "Yes, Your Majesty, we are ready to serve." She smiled faintly. "You are younger than I expected, yet your name is known among the fleet. You have saved many lives." "I only do my duty," he said. Her gaze moved back to the stars. Duty is the crown that weighs the heaviest. Something in her words touched him. There was sorrow in her voice, and he did not know why. She looked like a ruler surrounded by light and yet utterly alone. Stood a few steps away, uncertain what to say next. For a moment, the sound of the ship was the only thing between them. The engines hummed softly. The glass before them glimmered with endless space. Then she asked him, not as a queen, but as a woman, "Do you ever grow tired of endless night, Commander?" He thought for a second. "No, Your Majesty. Suppose I like it. The stars remind me that there's always more to see." Her smile this time was gentler. "You have the heart of an explorer, not just a soldier." Adam did not reply. He could not tell if she was teasing or simply seeing through him. He felt as if the air itself changed inside that room, as if something old had quietly awakened behind her calm expression. Later that night, as his shuttle returned to Liberty Reach, Adam could not stop thinking of her. Her voice still echoed in his mind, and her red eyes haunted him with a strange light. He did not know that his life had already begun to move towards something far greater than duty. The meeting had lasted only a few minutes, but it marked the beginning of a story that the stars themselves would one day remember. The next morning, the ships of the fleet moved slowly through the dark space near the border. Commander Adam Carter stood beside the captain of his ship, watching the movement of bright lights in the distance. The sky outside was full of stars, but between those stars, shadows floated like clouds. Reports came in of small attacks on trade routes. No one had seen the enemy yet, but everyone felt the threat. Queen Alara had ordered the fleet to travel slowly and stay close together. Her voice came across the radio, calm and firm. She gave commands as if she had done this thousands of times before. Every ship captain listened with quiet respect. Her words brought peace to those who were afraid. Adam admired her control. In his heart, however, there was more than respect. He found himself thinking about their meeting again and again. Something about her eyes, calm yet lonely, stayed in his mind. He knew he should not think of the ruler of the empire as anything more than a leader, yet he could not stop himself. That evening, Adam was called back to the Radiant Dawn. He was told to give a report on the condition of his ship and crew. When his shuttle arrived, the halls were brighter than before, and music drifted faintly through the air. There was a feeling of quiet excitement, as if the great ship itself knew something important would soon happen. A guard led him to the same great room where he had seen the Queen before. She stood by the wide glass window again, looking at the deep blackness outside. She seemed lost in thought. When Adam entered, she turned toward him and gave a small smile. "You came quickly," she said in her soft voice. "I was told you wanted a report, Your Majesty," he answered, standing straight. "I did," she said, her gaze still on him. "But I asked you here also because I wanted to speak with someone who is not afraid to tell the truth." Adam looked slightly confused. "I will always speak the truth, Your Majesty." She walked slowly toward him, the light from the window shining around her. Her silver gown caught the glow of the stars. For a moment, Adam forgot where he was. She stopped a few steps away and said, "Do you believe people can change what they truly are?" He thought about her question before answering. "I think people can try. Maybe it does not always work, but trying is what makes us human." Her eyes softened. "You speak wisely for your age, Commander. I have seen many try to change and many fail. Even I have tried, and still the past lives inside me." She turned back toward the window. "The people believe I am something great. They do not know how tired I am." There was silence. Adam wanted to say something to comfort her, but he was not sure what to say. He had never seen a queen sound so lonely. After a long pause, she said quietly, "Sometimes I wish I could walk among people again, as I did long ago, before I carried this crown." "You could if you wished," Adam said softly. "You are not trapped here." She looked at him with a faint, almost sad smile. "A queen is always trapped, Commander. The world belongs to her, but she belongs to no one." Adam did not have an answer. He simply bowed his head. For a moment, he wished he could take the weight from her shoulders. Then a loud sound broke the quiet. The floor trembled, and a sharp alarm filled the room. A guard ran in and bowed. "Your Majesty, an unknown force has entered the sector. They have fired warning shots." Alara's calm returned instantly. "Signal the fleet. All ships to defense pattern 7. Commander Carter, return to your ship and prepare for engagement." Adam saluted and turned to leave. But the Queen's voice stopped him. "Be careful, Commander. The border hides more than shadows." "I will, Your Majesty," he said, meeting her red eyes one last time before running to his shuttle. When he returned to his ship, he ordered the crew to battle stations. The quiet of space was broken by the glow of engines and the hum of energy weapons charging. Outside, several unknown vessels appeared from the black void. They fired again, and bright beams flashed. Adam gave quick, clear orders. His voice never shook. From her place on the Radiant Dawn, Queen Alara guided the entire fleet like a master of storms. Her commands were quick and sure. Every ship moved with perfect timing. The human fleet stood strong against the attackers, and soon the enemy ships turned and vanished into the darkness. When it was over, cheers filled the ships, but Adam felt no joy. He looked out the window at the calm stars and thought of the Queen's words, how she had sounded lonely even as she ruled the skies. Later, when the reports had been sent and the noise of battle faded, Adam sat alone in his cabin. He remembered her voice, the way she looked at him when she asked if people could change. He began to wonder what secret burden she carried and why she alone seemed untouched by time. As he looked out at the stars, a small smile crossed his face. He knew one thing for certain. His life was no longer just about duty. Something larger, softer, and far more dangerous had begun to grow inside him, and it had the shape of hope. The battle near the border did not end the trouble. A few days later, new reports came in from different colonies. Small groups were rising against the rule of the Queen. They said she had ruled too long. They said no person should have power for so many years. Some believed strange stories that called her unnatural. Queen Alara sat in the Great Hall of Radiant Dawn and listened to messages from her governors. One after another came the same words: rebellion, unrest, and fear. The Queen did not raise her voice. She spoke with quiet strength. We will not strike first. We will defend our people and protect peace. Commander Adam Carter heard her order through his console. He admired her calm. Most rulers would have answered with fire. She answered with mercy. Yet he also feared the danger closing in. The enemies now were not strangers from another world. They were humans turning against their own people. That night he was called again to see the Queen. When he stepped into her chamber, she was standing by the same window as before, looking down on the glowing blue of a nearby planet. The gentle light touched her face, making her look both young and ancient at once. Commander, she said quietly, you have seen how the border burns. Tell me, what do you think makes a person loyal? Adam hesitated. I think loyalty grows from trust, Your Majesty. People follow those who care for them. Fear works for a little while, but not forever. She nodded slowly. You are right. Long ago I ruled with fear. I thought that was the way to keep peace. But fear builds walls, not bonds. He watched her carefully. When she spoke of the past, her voice carried weight like a stone dropped in deep water. Tell me something, Commander, she said after a moment. Do you ever wonder how it feels to live 100 years and see everyone you love fade away? Adam did not know how to answer. He saw pain hidden in her calm face. That must be very hard, Your Majesty, he said at last. It is more than hard, she whispered. It steals the meaning of victory. Every battle won becomes a memory of loss. For the first time, Adam understood that behind her perfect grace lived endless sorrow. The rumors were true in part. She was human, but her blood carried a secret. Long ago, she had been part of an experiment to save humankind from death. Those scientists had played with human life, trying to make a body that never grew old. The others had died, but she had lived and carried the result forever. Her body never aged, and her strength never failed. People once called it a gift, but to her it became a curse she could never put down. Alara had seen empires rise and fall. She'd watched the people she loved grow old and vanish, leaving her alone to rule again. No wonder her eyes always carried both light and sadness. Adam stepped closer and said gently, Maybe what you call a curse has kept hope alive for millions. People needed you. She turned to him, surprised by his words. You think so? Yes, Your Majesty, he said. You stayed when others left. Sometimes that is enough to make the world survive. Her eyes softened. But before she could speak, the warning alarm sounded again. Another message arrived, an attack on one of the colonies. The enemy had taken control of a small city. Alara's calm returned. Prepare a team, she said. We will go there ourselves. Adam was shocked. You, Your Majesty? That is too dangerous. I have lived through worse, she said with a faint smile. Besides, if I ask others to risk their lives, I must be willing to do the same. Within the hour, ships broke from the fleet and flew toward the colony. The skies above the planet burned with trails of fire as they entered the atmosphere. Adam stood beside the Queen in the command center, giving orders with precision. When they landed, the air was filled with smoke. They moved through the ruined streets, their men spreading out to secure the area. The people looked frightened but cheered when they saw the Queen. Her presence brought courage. During the mission, a hidden bomb exploded near one of the buildings. Adam threw himself forward, pulling the Queen out of the blast just in time. The shock threw them both to the ground. Dust filled the air. When the smoke cleared, he looked down at her, afraid she was wounded. She opened her eyes and smiled at him faintly. You never listen when I tell you to be careful, she said weakly. You would have done the same for me, he whispered. She tried to stand, and he helped her to her feet. The battle ended soon after that. The rebels were defeated, and the city returned to peace. Back on the ship, the Queen thanked Adam for saving her life. But in her eyes there was something new, a quiet warmth that neither time nor distance could hide. She said simply, "You remind me that the heart can be brave without the sword." Adam bowed his head, feeling more connected to her than ever before. He knew he was falling in love with someone who had lived for centuries, someone burdened with endless grief and greatness. Yet he did not care. From that moment, every look she gave him carried unspoken truth. Between the Queen and her commander, something powerful had begun to grow, something that neither crown nor time could destroy. And though war still loomed on the edges of the Empire, both of them already shared a secret that sometimes even eternity can tremble before love. Weeks passed after the battle at the colony. The rebellion was pushed back, and slowly the Empire began to find calm again. Still, danger was never far away. In every corner of the galaxy, there were restless hearts, people who wanted change without understanding the cost. Commander Adam Carter became trusted by the Queen more than any other officer. She called on him often, seeking his counsel in private. It became their quiet habit to meet in the observation room late at night. Stars stretched beyond the glass, and the slow hum of the engines filled the silence. On one of those nights, Adam stood by the window waiting for her. The galaxy looked peaceful, but he had learned how deceptive peace could be. When the door opened, Queen Alara entered, wearing a simple gown rather than her royal robe. The sight surprised him. For once she did not look like the Queen of 1,000 Worlds, she looked like a woman who carried far too many memories on her shoulders. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing slightly. "When it is just us, call me Alara. There are no courts or guards here." He hesitated, his heart beating faster. "As you wish, Lara." She walked to the window beside him, her hands resting on the railing. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like if we were not bound by ranks or rules?" Adam looked at her. "All the time," he admitted quietly. For a moment she said nothing. The stars shone around them like watching eyes, and silence stretched, gentle but full of meaning. Then she spoke again, her voice low. "Once, a long time ago, I believed love was a weakness. I thought it distracted leaders from duty. So I locked my heart away and told myself that power and peace were enough." "Was it?" Adam asked. She shook her head slowly. "No, it kept me alive, but not living. It's made me nothing but a statue of my own making." He watched her face. There was no crown on her head now, no guards nearby, only the glow of stars reflected in her eyes. "No one else sees that side of you," he said softly. "They would not believe it if they did. Perhaps it is better that way," she whispered. "They need their queen to be strong, not human." He stepped closer, unable to stop himself. "But you are human. Every word you say proves it." For the first time in centuries, she did not draw away. She met his gaze, and something passed between them, quiet and deep. Outside, the stars moved in slow grace. Inside, the space between two hearts closed. Before either spoke again, the control panels blinked green. A soft signal showed a call from the fleet commander. Adam sighed and pressed the receiver. "Carter here, Commander," the voice said. "There is unrest near the outer rings again. Small attacks. Orders are to stay alert." "Understood," Adam said, and turned to Alara. Her calm returned, though a trace of sadness lingered in her eyes. "It never ends, does it?" he said. "But that doesn't mean we should stop hoping." She nodded, then looked back toward the stars. "Sometimes I wish I could believe that." He smiled faintly. "Then I will believe it for you." She looked at him again, surprised but touched. "You carry too much faith for one man. Then let me share the weight," he said simply. Her lips curved slightly, almost a laugh, but softer than one. "You speak like a poet, Commander. Be careful. You might break my resolve." "I've broken worse things in battle," he said. "Hey." And this time she really did laugh, a gentle musical sound that filled the room. It was so rare that Adam stood quietly just to remember it. They stood together without speaking for a long while. The stars outside turned slowly as if time itself had slowed for them. When Alara finally turned toward him again, her face was serious. "Adam," she said, and for the first time she used only his name, "you must know what this means. If the world ever learns that I care for you, it could destroy everything. It would not understand." He nodded, "Then let them not find out. Whatever we are, it will still be ours." Her breath caught. "Wait. You say it as if it were easy." "No," he said softly. "I say it because it's true." That night, a fragile promise formed between them, one not written in law, but carried in silence. She would continue to rule, and he would continue to serve. But beneath every word and order, there would live something unspoken and strong. The next morning, the fleet moved again through empty space. Adam worked at his post, giving commands, pretending his heart was steady. But every time his eyes met hers across the communication channel, the mask slipped a little, and she looked back with the same quiet truth. Later that evening, when the celebrations of victory were held aboard the Radiant Dawn, music filled the air and voices laughed. Yet away from the lights, on the high balcony overlooking the moon below, Alara stood alone, waiting for him. Adam found her there, glowing in the silver light. The soft wind from the open dome touched her hair. "You came," she whispered. "I said I would," he replied. They stood together beneath the rising moon, the sound of music behind them fading into silence. She turned toward him, her red eyes gentle. "Adam," she said, and her voice trembled for the first time he had ever heard, "I do not want to be a queen tonight." "Then don't be," he said quietly. "Just be you." And in that moment, everything they had held back broke free, not through words, but through understanding. Among the stars and shadows, two hearts finally met beyond fear, duty, or time. The universe kept on spinning, unaware that its oldest queen had begun to fall in love. Many months passed after that night beneath the silver moon. The empire began to settle again. Old wounds slowly healed, and peace returned to the border worlds. The name of Queen Alara once more brought hope to her people. They saw her as a symbol of balance and wisdom. Yet only a few knew that something had changed deep within her. Quiet gentleness born from love. Commander Adam Carter continued his service with steady loyalty. On the outside, he was still the Queen's officer, her protector and advisor. But behind closed doors, between missions and meetings, he was something more. Every evening they would share a few moments together when the stars were quiet, speaking in low voices about life, memories, and dreams. For the first time in many centuries, the Queen smiled often. The heavy weight of loneliness no longer rested so strong upon her heart. She had lived through countless years and countless faces, yet never had anyone looked at her as Adam did not, as a ruler, not as a legend, but as a woman. But peace never lasted long in the vast empire. One evening, the Council of Governors sent a warning message. A group of commanders who still distrusted the Queen had gathered their own fleets. They believed that the empire should have new leadership, younger and mortal. They planned to force her to step down. Alara received the message in silence. Adam noticed the stillness in her eyes. "They will come for you, won't they?" he said. She nodded. "They are afraid of what they do not understand. They do not hate me. They fear that I will never leave the throne." He looked at her steadily. "Then I will stand with you. We have faced worse things together." Her eyes softened. "I do not want you to risk your life again because of me." He smiled gently. "You gave me a reason to live beyond duty. That is worth any risk." When the rebel fleets appeared on the edge of the royal system, the Queen gathered her loyal forces. The battle that followed became one of legend. The dark space lit up with fire and streaks of light. The Radiant Dawn led the defense, its wings spread like a guardian across the stars. Adam commanded the front line, fighting with the focus of a man who believed in more than victory. The rebels outnumbered them, but the Queen's strategy was unmatched. She guided each movement of their ships with calm precision. Her voice across the communication lines steadied the troops, turning fear into courage. Hours passed, and the battle reached its peak. Explosions echoed in the distance. Then Adam's ship was hit by a strong blast. Warning lights flashed red and the control board sparked, but he refused to retreat. "Keep the line. Protect the Queen," he shouted. The final strike came when the Queen herself joined the front. Every soldier in the fleet heard her words clear and steady, filled with resolve. "We fight not for power but for peace," she said. The sound of her voice carried through every channel, giving courage to those who wavered. At last, the enemy broke. Their main fleet turned back and fled into deep space. The Empire had been saved, but at great cost. Many ships were lost, and the radiant dawn was damaged. After the battle, silence fell again. The stars seemed to breathe with relief. In the medical chamber, Adam rested from his injuries. When Alara entered, her face showed both pride and sorrow. She came close to his bedside and touched his hand lightly. "You saved us all," she said softly. He smiled faintly through the pain. "You saved him, Alara. I only followed your light." Her eyes filled with emotion, rare and deep. "I have lived so long," she whispered, "but only now do I understand what it means to be alive." He looked up at her, his hand tightening around hers. "Then promise me one thing," he said. "What is it?" She asked, "If peace ever truly comes, will you let yourself be free from the crown, even for a while?" She gazed at him for a long moment. "And if I did?" He smiled weakly. "And maybe you could let me ask what I have been waiting to ask since the first time I saw you at the window." Her lips parted in surprise. "What would you ask?" He took a breath, his voice soft and trembling. "I would ask you to marry me, Alara." The room fell silent. Time seemed to stand still. For the first time in her long life, the Queen's eyes filled with tears. She had faced countless wars without fear, but now her heart shook with joy and disbelief. She leaned down, her voice barely above a whisper. "I have ruled across the stars, faced centuries of silence, and never once found peace. But with you, Adam, yes, I will say yes." Her words were gentle, but they carried a power greater than any crown. She kissed his forehead and whispered again, "Yes." From that day forward, the Empire changed. The Queen did not step down, but she ruled with a heart renewed by love. Adam became her closest companion, not just in battle, but in life. The stories of their bond spread to every world and were told from one generation to another as a legend of courage and devotion. When people looked up at the night sky, they spoke of the Queen who once ruled alone and of the man who taught her to feel human again. Some said their love lit the stars themselves, that the heavens glowed brighter because two souls found peace together. And in the quiet heart of the galaxy, aboard the repaired radiant dawn, Queen Alara and Commander Adam often stood side by side before the great window, gazing at the endless sky. The war was gone, and the shadows were behind them. He would smile, and she would whisper the words again, as soft as the stars. "Yes."